Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Good morning, Your Excellencies, dear panelists, and dear young people. Every 2 years, this Council hears directly from our youth, those who hold the keys to our future and are already shaping our present. It is a great pleasure to address you today, and even greater to see so many young change makers among us in this hall. Over the past week, this Council has heard about escalating crises, sufferings, and human rights violations, alongside many calls to strengthen the human rights ecosystem. Youth are our essential partners in this task. Today, there are 1.9 billion young people in the world, an immense resource of ideas, energy, and values. And yet, year after year, their voices go unheard. From the occupied Palestinian territory to Sudan to Ukraine, young lives are being cut short by conflict and opportunities erased. In 2024, attacks on learning facilities rose by an estimated 44%, leaving millions of children and youth out of the classroom. Attacks on young people who defend democracy and human rights are growing, and we must not turn away. From the young protesters in Nepal to the Serbian students holding firm in the face of crackdowns and violence, to the student movement that led last year's protests in Bangladesh, we must stand with those who are speaking out for justice. There is a global pushback on freedom of expression for young people. In some countries, students are being subjected to surveillance. They are being suspended, expelled, and even deported for their legitimate activism. Young people's compassion and urge to fight for change are not threats. They are our very best hope. Technology is playing a complex role. When unregulated and misused, it fuels cyberbullying and loneliness. Many young people are feeling hopeless and frustrated by their perceived powerlessness in the face of today's challenges. For the first time, they are reporting poorer mental health than any other age group. We must ensure that young people are safe online while benefiting from the extraordinary opportunities that digital tools provide. And we must extend those opportunities to the estimated 1 in 5 young people who remain offline. These challenges weigh heaviest on marginalized youth, and by that I mean migrants, refugees, young persons with disabilities, and all those living in poverty. Young women in many countries are still held back by discriminatory laws and social norms. Your Excellencies, dear guests, how can young people create an enabling environment for human rights if their own rights are not upheld? With more than half of the world's population under 30, there are only 2.8% of young parliamentarians. I think we have one today with us. This remains indefensible, especially as time and again we see youth leading movements, advancing humanitarian response, and championing change. In Gaza, where international media are banned, young people climb over the rubble to find a phone signal, determined to tell their truth, their stories to the world. Students at the University of the South Pacific initiated the legal case that led to the historic ruling by the International Court of Justice on climate change. Some governments are taking promising steps, from quotas for youth participation in state bodies to youth councils and youth-led policy platforms. In Norway, for example, Norway places young people's contributions at the center of climate policy making by including them in both domestic discussions and international climate negotiations. In Armenia, India, and Lesotho, governments have pioneered new strategies and policies on youth development, participation, and skills, aiming to create a supportive environment in a future-ready generation. We are fortunate indeed to have some youth representatives with us today who will provide first-hand accounts of how they are leading peace-building and political efforts. Youth inclusion is a UN-wide priority. 10 years ago, the United Nations Security Council Resolution 2250 recognized the central role of youth in building and sustaining peace. Since then, we've had the UN Youth Strategy, the Call to Action for Human Rights, Our Common Agenda, and the Pact for the Future, all of which have highlighted the transformative power of youth and called for their meaningful inclusion. Our office remains fully committed to supporting these efforts. With our partners, Education Above All, we launched a project called YES, Youth Empowerment System, to build youth capacity in Colombia, Guatemala, Lebanon, Palestine, Senegal, and South Africa. And our Youth Rights Academy is working to strengthen youth human rights activism globally. We are engaging with young human rights defenders in Gaza and the occupied West Bank, in Serbia, and beyond to amplify their voices and support them in their fight for peace, equality, and justice. Your Excellencies, dear youth, distinguished guests, the paradox of our time is that we are trying to solve novel and emerging challenges with somewhat dated approaches. To move forward, we need tools and frameworks that are fit for today, based on inclusive and meaningful dialogue, and I believe youth can help devise them. My office urges all governments to work with, not against, their youth. All youth, regardless of nationality, gender, ability, or sexual orientation, must be able to participate in decisions that define their future. We must invest in youth leadership by creating safe and enabling environments, by reforming laws and institutions, and by removing financial and knowledge barriers. We must also invest in human rights education. With international law under such severe strain, youth can mobilize to ensure that justice and respect for the rules are back at the core of the international system. As communities descend into polarization, youth can build bridges to chart a path out. As conflicts, climate change, and new technologies challenge human rights, youth can innovate to safeguard our common future. Let us give them the space, the trust, and the tools to lead. Thank you very much.